Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend Catherine Cyr, very funny stand-up comedian from the Bay Area. Gonna have her back on the show today. She's gonna plug her appearance in the next Rooster T. Feathers comedy competition. We're going to talk about, she wants to know about my weight loss. So we're going to talk about that. I want to tell her about the status of my quote-unquote Me Too scandal in the Bay Area and other stuff that comes to mind. And Catherine's hella cool, hella funny. Going to have her on the show today. And it's going to be pretty fucking awesome. I cannot wait. So yeah, here is my new interview with Catherine Cyr.
Hey Tommy, how you doing?
Hey Catherine, I'm pretty good. How the fuck are you?
I'm tired. It's one of those stay in bed kind of days, but I gotta get a lot of stuff done around here. You know how it is.
Yeah, you can just rest, relax, sleep, masturbate, all that stuff.
Yeah, the sleep is definitely something that is probably my favorite thing to do, but, you know, the house doesn't clean itself and the errands don't run themselves. So that's kind of a bummer. You were going to go to, what was this convention today?
Oh, the San Jose Toy and Comic Show that happens every 3 months in I think it was the San Jose Fairgrounds over there in Campbell.
Oh, okay, and Karen Allen, she's the one from Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, Starman, Scrooge, The Animal House, great movies.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan too. I definitely, would love to meet someone like her. I don't know if I ever told you, but I am a big Ramones fan. Like years ago, and of course, growing up, I saw Rock and Roll High School, and also, again, going into the horror genre, the original Halloween and Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up meeting PJ Souls on Halloween one time, and the funny thing was I was going to dress up as Rick Randall.
Yeah.
And I just never got around to it, and my friend's like, oh, a friend of mine's band is playing at this club, and I guess she was dating the lead singer at the time. This was after I think she was married to Randy Quaid or something like that. This was after they divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's still with this guy, too. It's been like quite a while, but it was very nice to meet her, Very nice, very pretty still.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart, and she was a very good guest on the podcast a year and a half ago. I love her.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah. The one thing I did notice, and of course it's hard for everybody, is she had put on some weight, and of course she's older. I'm older, and growing up, I remember you saying you were always kind of overweight.
Mm-hmm.
I was always skinny. I never had to worry about what I ate or anything. But now that I'm older, it's like I think about food and I put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely need to step up my activity. And usually, now that I'm older too, my food intake, the more activity I do, then more food, less activity, less food. So my whole family is kind of motivated that way too. It's just obviously genetic. We've never been big breakfast people. Growing up, our mom would always make breakfast, when we were kids. But as we all got older, my mom included, my father,
mm-hmm.
we get up, we want coffee maybe. My one brother doesn't drink coffee, but he's just not hungry in the morning. And again, as the day goes on and you get more physically active, then yes, we're hungry. But both my brothers, my one brother that was still in LA moved up here.
Yeah.
Probably one thing you don't know is, so he stayed with me and my husband for a little while. Now he's in San Jose.
Yeah.
And, he's having trouble keeping the weight down. And my older brother also had kind of gotten a little heavier, and now he's back in shape. So, and I'm kind of like in between. Like my younger brother, he's probably, I don't know, last time I saw him, I'm like, dude, you look like you lost weight. He's like, nope. But he's also always been like the bodybuilder guy, so he's always been kind of bulky.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to tell. But you said that you had stopped eating candy and stuff, or no, it was your sugar intake that you were lowering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, okay, so you wanted to know about my weight loss. So, I've been on the diet since January 1st. I went all out on New Year's Eve. I ate Chinese food. I ate candy. I drink soda with sugar in it. I mean, I went all out because I knew that I was going to get serious January 1st, and I did.
Well, they call that the Last Supper, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I've gotten down to 14 pounds. I want to get down to another 50 by the time of my LA trip next month. I'm going to be in LA for 5 days with my mom for Monster Palooza, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to look really good, especially since we're going to be meeting up with industry people and stuff.
What is that? What is Monster Palooza?
The horror con I go to every year. Remember last year when my friend flaked on me?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to skip both of them last year because of his dumb ass. But my mom, she wants to go on vacation, and so she's going to be taking me. So that's going to be
cool.
great. Yeah.
I have to get back down there again. Unfortunately, a good friend of mine just lost her husband, who was always healthy, by the way, to cancer. And always physically active, took pretty good care of himself. But, you just never know with these things. But still 14 pounds, that's great. And getting sugar out of your diet. My mom used to say, sugar wants sugar, and there's some evidence that it might be an addictive substance.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not really good for your skin. It actually causes you to age quicker, and it can cause underlying inflammation.
I was not aware of that.
I'm trying to get off the sugar. Unfortunately, where I work for a state university, and some of the professors like to go and buy candy, and they're always thinking they're doing me and my coworkers a favor. It's like, oh, thanks for all your hard work. Here's some candy. I'm like, no. And the students try to buy me stuff too. And yeah, I told the students, first of all, you're a student. You get rich, you can buy me something. I don't even know what really, but I don't want them spending their money on me. They're students,
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I try to hire them to get some money into their pockets,
Yeah.
But they all think they're doing a favor, and I'm like, guys, please just don't bring around the chocolate, because that's one thing I have a lot of trouble resisting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of trying to do it. You call it a diet. I'm trying for an overall lifestyle change because, so many people, my cholesterol got kind of high for a while. Granted, it's genetic.
Yeah.
I think I turned 40, and I was in, my thyroid crapped out when I was about 27, by the way.
Oh.
That's one reason why I don't have kids, is I can't get pregnant or can't carry, not to get too personal, but at any rate, and I love kids, but working for a university, I, get to take care of other people's young adult children, but, at any rate, my cholesterol shot way up there, and it's genetic on my mother's side, so I'm like, hooray. And, my grandmother, I was very close to her, and she had a quadruple bypass. Oh, sorry, by the way, the horrible parrot is out.
It's okay.
If you heard that. Anyway, and she was never the same after that, because she started to bleed to death, and they couldn't figure out where they hadn't fully closed. So she was actually in her bed, and they had to just rip her open to save her life. And so it wasn't like normal quadruple bypass. She had gone into recovery and then had to have another very traumatic operation done to save her life. And there's just so many things about that just changed her life for her. She just, was never the same.
Yeah.
Now, she was still physically there and mentally there, but, she was just so fragile after that.
Yeah.
I
can imagine.
And I don't know how long I want to live. Obviously, the world is kind of a messed up place some of the time, but it's like, I'm not ready to go now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not interested in having a stroke or a heart attack, which, for women is actually the number one killer. So I'm glad you're taking care of yourself, though, too, because
yeah, because
none of us have. Well, you had a near-death experience too, so you definitely don't take things for granted.
Not anymore.
No.
But I'll tell you, Yeah, when I got out of the hospital, I weighed 220 pounds because I had my accident weighing 350 from all the drinking I did, and I woke up at 190 from the coma, and I got to 220 by the time I was out of the hospital. My doctor told me I had to maintain that weight and not gain again because it's not good for me, especially now. And one thing, and another thing he told me was, oh, by the way, you're going to get some serious depression from all that anesthesia and, all the trauma and stuff, right? I was like, well, that doesn't help anything with my weight because I'm an emotional eater. So I gained all that weight back, and I'm 14 pounds of losing it. I want to get down 100 or so more and stuff. But in 2006, I went on this power diet. I lost 100 pounds in 9 months. I had a nutritionist, and she put me on a 1,900 calorie a day diet. I ate nothing but salad and greens, and I walked every day. I drank water. I did all that stuff, and it just worked like a charm. But now, because I have arthritis and metal in my leg, the only exercise I can do is like the treadmill 10 or 20 minutes a day and drink protein shakes, and it's worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a bad car accident when I was 19, right?
You did what?
I was in a very bad car accident at the age of 19. So
I think you told. I can't remember.
Lucky to walk away from it because even the paramedics kept saying, "Where's the driver of the blue car?" And I'm like, "I'm over here." And they're like, "Not you, honey. We need to find the driver of the blue car." And I'm like, "It's me." After I had to go sign off my totaled car, I saw my arm outline in the windshield, and I smashed the steering wheel with my ribcage.
Oh.
And my legs had gone up through the dashboard because I was not wearing a seatbelt. I wear one all the time now. Now, again, I don't have anything like metal or anything, but I've got, static damage, and every so often a knee will act up or something. And so, actually, someone I used to work for, he was in a bad car accident and almost lost his leg. I guess for the rest of his life, he worked out every day as much as he could, and sometimes twice a day.
Yeah.
And granted, time is always a factor too, but 5 minutes a day even matters. 10 minutes a day matters. My husband kind of sometimes thinks you have to just kill yourself too, and I'm like, no, that's the wrong way to do it. If you're hurting yourself, you're just backtracking.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm glad that you're taking this journey, though. But you don't have to power do it either. They say sometimes if you do it too quickly, that could be very hard on your system.
Yeah.
You just want to do it overall. I do Weight Watchers, so that's where you're like, I'm not an expert. Nobody is.
Mm-hmm.
And we share. I joined, and it's a group of really great people, guys, girls, women, men, all different races, and everybody's got, nice input even, and the tricks that people do, if I'm hungry but I don't know what I want, I'll have a glass of water. And they say a lot of the time, when you feel like you're hungry but you can't identify it, it's usually not hunger, it's thirst.
Right.
So, which is something I didn't know, and I found that, I feel like something, and I'm like, well, I'll have a glass of water. And I mean, I enjoy water, so I don't know. I know some people don't, but the other trick I've been starting to do at work is brushing my teeth after lunch, which is a good thing to do anyway. But at the same time, then when they come around with the candy, I'm like, I just brushed my teeth. I really don't want anything.
Yeah.
So, but I'm walking around with my toothbrush. I was like, oh, there she goes again. But I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Not exactly doing something harmful, but it's difficult, especially with temptation,
Yeah, it's just pretty difficult. But, yeah, I mean, there was a period for a couple of weeks, about 4 months into that diet, where I couldn't lose any more weight because I lost so much. My body wasn't used to not maintaining it right. So there was a couple of weeks where I couldn't lose any more weight, and I gained like 1 pound during that time. But then after that, another 7, 1 week, another, 3 or 4 the following week, and I was back on track until I lost it all.
Well, again, they call it plateauing too, but there's different triumphs. Not gaining weight, that's a triumph. Losing half a pound, that's a triumph. It doesn't have to be, I want you to take care of yourself. So I don't want you, feeling that you've got to lose 20 pounds a week or 5 pounds a week. They say healthy is about 2, well, it depends too. Sometimes, the first week, you can, when you start doing a lifestyle change, you can have a fairly significant drop of 5 to 7 pounds. But that's the initial lifestyle change.
Right.
And so I'm trying to definitely get back into, I did have my periods in life too where, probably in my mid to late 20s, maybe 30s, I was going to the gym and I was pretty ripped, but, for my size, I've always been, my mom was only 5 feet tall and I'm 5'3", so I've always been on the small side, height-wise, and, originally clothing size too, but that's not changing now. Sometimes I'm a medium, other times now I'm finding, I better go large. Yeah. And, it's not just the not healthy, but even on camera I'm looking awful. And I look huge on camera, and I hate that. So
I watched a couple of your comedy videos earlier.
Yeah.
You looked good to me.
Well, thank you. I was just getting my hair colored, and the guy there was like, "You're being too hard on yourself." I'm like, "Dude, on camera, I'm a buffalo. Trust me." And I know I used to work for a promoter. I think I told you that, right?
Which one?
Maybe. Well, they're Live Nation now, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So I worked in the music business for about 15 years.
Right.
I also worked on the LA club circuit, so. But anyway, we were doing a show with Kelly Clarkson. It was some kind of breast cancer lifetime kind of thing we were doing. Mm-hmm. And I was really excited because Shirley Manson was going to be there, and so was Debbie Harry. And I had come right from the office. I just happened to be wearing a pink shirt. Mm-hmm. And I show up, and they go, "Okay, we're going to put you in this row to be on camera, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, no." I hadn't done my hair really or my makeup. And then one of the guys I worked with, his friend was there. And he's like the total struggling actor type.
Yeah.
He comes over and sits next to me. And I'm just like, oh, dear God. And, of course, the camera keeps coming around. And I finally had to get up. I'm like, I don't mind being on camera, but I quite literally showed up just to watch the show. So anyway, at some point in time, though, where this goes back to, I didn't see myself on the TV show whenever it was or anything either, or the final concert clip. I actually could never find it. I wouldn't have minded seeing it. In Vogue was there, and they were great. And, of course, like I said, Debbie Harry and Shirley Manson.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kelly Clarkson also came out and did a song. Mm-hmm. And they were watching the broadcast in the main office. This was in the Wiltshire Theater. And I just, as I said, I got up, and as I'm walking into the main office and talking to a couple coworkers, I just look up at the monitor, and I had just come from the house. And there was Kelly Clarkson, and she looked ginormous. And me and a couple other coworkers that had just come in, go, no way. And we all turned around and walked right back into the house. I stared at her, and then turned around and walked. So like, my God, she wasn't, this was at a time when she had lost weight too, and again, she still looked ginormous, and I was like, that's not fair. I'm like, she just looks way better than that,
Yeah.
So I do know the camera adds weight, but still, I'm overweight as well, and fortunately I gained from my ankles to the top of my head, so that's good. But, it's like, it's a struggle,
Yep, it sure is. But we will get through it. We'll get through the weight loss.
Well, what you and I can do if you want to, so we could check in with each other, once a week or something, just to say, hey, how's it going, or something. Or you can text me saying I need support, and I'll be like, have a glass of water. You can do the same, It's always good to have a friend that's willing to be supportive of you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
One thing my Weight Watchers leader says, she's she's actually a former educator, and she's terrific, and she's helped something like, she has a necklace, and she's helped something like 300 plus people lose over 100 pounds, and so for each, she gave herself a little sterling silver person on this necklace. But the necklace got too big for her to wear. But anyway, she says, okay, so you had a slip up. And she goes, it's like tripping on a stair. Do you decide to throw yourself down the staircase, or do you just get back on track with the next step? You know? Mm-hmm. And I love that, because she goes, beating yourself up gets you nowhere. Instead of going up, she goes, call it, just say to yourself, I ate a bunch of vegetables and move on. She's like, otherwise you're just going to beat yourself up.
Yeah.
And being an emotional eater, I'm a stress eater. I don't have depression, but obviously depression is very real.
Right.
I mean, everybody has some depression here and there, but I mean, there's clinical depression, and then there's just the person having a rough day kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if you're in care for that or what have you, but do trust me, you're a valuable person, and you matter.
Oh,
and
thank you so much.
I know you've got a lot of friends out there, so be good to Tommy. That's one thing I'd like to ask you to do.
Yeah, which reminds me, I got to tell you something really good. So I told you last time about all the comedians in the Bay Area that are bullies to me, right? And I told
the what in the Bay Area?
The Bay Area comedians that are bullies to me, right?
Oh yeah, you had said that, yeah.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. No, people need to grow up, but anyway, yes.
Yeah, so I told you about Pete Munoz, being the biggest one, and all the shit that he's done. He's going around telling people that I pulled a Louis C.K. on a female comic who was giving me a ride home, which is ridiculous because no female comic has ever given me a ride home from an open mic, ever. And last week or so, he got a taste of his own medicine. I went on the Bay Area Comedy Network page right after I woke up one morning, and apparently about a half hour before I got up, somebody with a fake user profile said that Pete is a serial rapist, and
that's terrific.
The administrator, Matt Goobzer, he removed it and posted an apology to Pete on there, and there was about a dozen or so comics commenting saying, we all hate Pete, but that's fucked up what that guy did. And I was fucking jumping with joy and laughing and going, good, he fucking got a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah. Well, I know it's hard to, forgive people that were, not cool to you,
yeah.
And I think we've all had our share of backstabbing people in our lives. But, in the 80s, I went through a really rough period, and the funny thing was people that I thought were my friends were so happy to see me having a rough time in life. I couldn't believe it. That probably was worse than anything else. And I had a good friend of mine say to me one time, she says, well, nothing bad ever happens to you, so something should. And I was like, first of all, I'm like anybody else. I didn't, my parents stayed together and everything, but we were not a perfect Brady Bunch household. We had our difficulties. I had difficulties like any other person. And this was like one of my closest friends, and she was really happy to see something bad happen to me.
Yeah.
I basically went through a bad breakup, and on top of that, the guy that broke up with me then started doing mean, vindictive things to me. Now, do you understand? He broke up with me. If it was the other way around, it would make sense. So then he would just try to find me, and I would literally get to my office, and one time I'm just sitting at a light, and he walks up to my car and knocked on the window, and surprised me. So I jumped and hit my head on the roof of the car. Mm-hmm. And I get to work, and they're telling me, you need to get a restraining order. I said, it's not like that. He's not threatening me. He's just upsetting me. And just, I don't know. I quite literally don't understand why he did what he did. He would find me places and things like that, the very first Lollapalooza. And I was like, I gotta get out of here. Supposed to be having a good time plus working, and then here he is. I'm like, great. you know.
Wait, you did you just say the first Lollapalooza?
The very first, yeah.
I wanted to go to the one in '96 in the Bay Area because the Ramones was doing their farewell tour on it, and my dad was going through a tough time with drugs and alcohol. My mom threw him out of the house, and like I couldn't get no one to take me. And they said they'll be back. No, they fucking won't. That was their last tour, and Joey died 5 years later.
Well, I did get to see them at the was it the Palace? I think it was the Palace. I saw the last show that they did, and then they did do one other night, but it wasn't a full tour. You know. But yeah, I saw them at Irvine Meadows with Blondie and with I think it was Tom Tom Club too. But yeah, I got to see them a few times. I was out clubbing one time when I saw Joey, and this guy friend of mine was like, Joey, and I'm like, shut up, I want to meet him, and he just wouldn't shut up. Needless to say, Joey ignored us because I'm like, you're acting like a moron. I did run into Johnny one time, and that was cool. We got to meet him. But one of the coolest things I did get to do is we did a Ramones 30th anniversary date. It was right before Johnny died. He died literally a few days later, and it was like showing End of the Century, and there were other bands there performing, doing like Ramones covers. We had like Joey's jacket and his jeans and his glasses and some of the other stuff he wore on stage for everybody to kind of check out. And it was just, everybody at work knew I was such a Ramones fan. They're like, you must be in heaven right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm just really happy. And so when I got to work on Monday, they said, hey, guess what you get to do? And I'm like, what? They're like, you get to write the checks for the money that was raised for lymphoma for Joey and for prostate cancer for Johnny. That was probably one of the coolest things I got to do is handwrite out the checks, you know, for the two charities. So that was fun. Yeah. And then unfortunately, Johnny, his wife came, and they said Johnny was just too sick, even though he lived not too far away. But they're like, he can't make it, and I think he died Tuesday. And the show was Saturday night. And when I came into work on Monday, wrote the checks, and I want to say he died the very next day. So very sad.
Yeah,
I did hear he actually wanted that monument. I want to say it was Rob Zombie. Gave him that little bronze thing. Of him, like, as a kind of like a guitar hero or whatever thing, the bust. And then he said, oh, no, I want that to be my gravestone. And so they made it happen, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and they're like, yeah, you know how that happened, right? And I'm like, no. And it is a little bit kind of out there, but I'm like, oh, if it makes him happy. And Dee Dee's over in the same cemetery. Of course, Joey's all the way across the country, and I think Tommy, after he died, I think he's also on the East Coast as well. So, oh well. It's kind of sad, you know, every time you turn around, somebody's going away.
Yeah, and I think Marky or Dee Dee does signings at conventions now. I remember I go to this con every year now called Sinister Creature Con in Sacramento. They have 2 a year now. And in 2017, the second one had either Dee Dee or Marky, one of them, I can't remember. And
it was Marky, because Dee Dee passed away before Johnny.
Okay,
so... Dee Dee, unfortunately. Yeah, but Marky is the second drummer. Tommy was the original. And I think by the third album, Marky came in and Tommy just ended up producing.
Right.
In my opinion, Marky counts. CJ does not.
Yeah.
So, there's a couple other guys that came in there briefly to replace Dee Dee. And I think even Marky, there was another drummer briefly. I think due to addiction problems, but it was always Johnny and Joey. And even though they had their falling out, I remember after Joey died, they'd asked Johnny if he was going to maybe look for another lead singer, and he was like, there will never be another lead singer for the Ramones other than Joey. So even though they had their falling out, Johnny's wife was originally Joey's girlfriend.
What's your top 10? What's your top 10 favorite Ramones songs list?
Oh, so that's easy. My probably favorite one is "Something to Do."
Love that. Oh, my favorite.
you know, Howling at the Moon, Bombs Up to Pittsburgh, a.k.a., you know, Commando. And, gosh, I like the version of Do You Want to Dance? I definitely do.
Yeah.
This Street Box is another favorite. Gosh, I mean, it's like to name the top 10, but Something to Do has always been my favorite number one song, I think. I do like Rock and Roll High School, even though, yeah, it's kind of campy, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's another punk rock band. I actually just heard their version of it the other day.
Here's my list.
And when Joey did his solo album, when he did What a Wonderful World, I like that. Actually, when my husband and I got married, that was the song I wanted. Because my parents did the Louis Armstrong version, but we did the Joey Ramone version, which was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. My list, I love, I Just Want to Have Something to Do Tonight is my all-time favorite. I Want to Be Sedated. We're a Happy Family. I love that song.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah. Rock and Roll High School. What's that one called? Oh, Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Somebody Put Something in My Drink. Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight.
Yeah, I do like that one, too.
I Want You Around. I love that one.
Oh, I love that one, yeah, because that's in the movie, and they sing that to PJ Souls, yeah.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's so sweet, yeah. I love their version of The Who's Substitute. And
yeah, I guess, I don't know if I have that, actually. That must be, is that on a live album?
No, that was on Acid Eaters, where they do all the psychedelic covers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they put out something like 17 albums. I don't have Acid Eaters. I've got Ramones Mania and Ramones. Well, the first one I ever got was Rocket to Russia, which is still probably one of my all-time favorite albums. It's interesting that it holds up, at least to me, after all these years.
How about Mondo Bizarro?
End of the Century, and then, of course, somewhere around that time I started doing CDs, and I just started getting more and more complicated. Oh, and I also had the original Ramones, and then I got Mondo Bizarro, and I'm trying to think what else.
Brain Drain.
And I just started buying the compilations because it was like, you know, that one Ramones Mania.
I had that.
The one too that had Indian Giver on it, and I think the other Ramones compilation did not have Indian Giver. For some of the time, I
have it.
It was from Rocket to Russia. I like that song too.
Yeah, Rocket to Russia is a good album. Those first 4 albums are masterpieces. Then after that, they got kind of indulgent, you know. But those first 4, I love. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and of course, Sheena. That was one of my nicknames when I was younger. They're like, hey, Sheena, how's it going?
I forgot that one. Yeah, Sheena is a punk rocker. Yeah.
Yeah, they were very disappointed that didn't make the top 10. They were like, that should have put them up into the popular mainstream. That's kind of why they did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I Want to Be Sedated. That's like the only one I hear on the radio over and over again. So for me, it's like, okay, here they go again with I Want to Be Sedated. And there's so many other songs. I was like, you could play more than one Ramones song, you know.
At least Blitzkrieg Bop, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that one was always fun. But, you know, it is sad. All the original guys are gone, you know, too young. And we just saw somebody the other day. Who was it? You know, I can't even remember that fast. And they were saying, Catherine Hellman, that's right, yeah. And I'm like, well, she was 89, but still, you know, it's sad.
She was great, yeah.
Yeah, she was great, you know. But even, we just saw some musician again the other day, and I was like, oh, God, here we go again with, you know. I mean, I still can't believe David Bowie and Prince are gone. I'm like, you know, so young.
Yeah,
Bowie was definitely... I was a fan of both. Definitely more of a Bowie fan than a Prince fan, but I fortunately got to see both in concert, so. It's like, yeah.
It's pretty sad,
yeah. Oh, well. I mean, that's one thing, though, is their legacy and their music lives on, and you can be happy about that, I guess. that's one nice thing about recording, movies or music, whatever it may be, is they can leave a legacy behind with that.
Yep.
You never know. Your legacy might be these podcasts.
We'll see. But what I've learned is that you put yourself on this trajectory, and then you may end up in another place, and you may end up making money off of something that you never expected to before. But the trajectory I'm on, I want to do all the things that interest me. Like in May, I'm filming a pilot for my own horror movie show, and I've got friends getting together. I've got a celebrity guest who's been on the podcast who lives in the Bay Area going to be on, and everything. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's one nice thing too is about modern technology now is the ability to make a pretty good quality film. Can even be done with an iPhone now. It's just amazing. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm sure you know about some of the local film festivals. I hope you'll enter it in. I know San Francisco does one. I don't know. Are you up near Reading? You said.
Yeah, still in Reading. I'm going to be going to LA sometime this year, probably on my own, because my mom wants to keep this apartment until I make it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so it's a bit of a journey even to come to the Bay Area, but still, do your film and enter it in local film festivals. You never know. Mm-hmm.
Well, this show, it's going to be directed by my friend Lee Stoneman, who was a stand-up comedian when I first met him. He wasn't that good, but he was a very passionate filmmaker and really good at it. I was actually supposed to be in this short film that he was going to do until he had this scandal and he became persona non grata at the Brainwash Cafe in San Francisco. And so we lost touch for a lot of years. And then I've had him on the podcast twice. We've reconnected, and he wants to film this pilot. And we're going to do sketches in between segments of introducing the movie. We're going to get the original Little Shop of Horrors from 1960 to be the movie because it's in the public domain. Yeah. And I'm going to put it on the internet, see if people respond. I'm not going to put it on YouTube because there's this piracy shit going on now that I don't like, and I don't want to lose my channel. So we're going to put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, see if people respond, and then we'll make more and maybe go to conventions and sell burnt copies of it, and all that stuff. And we'll see where it takes me.
Yeah, we're actually doing the Little Shop of Horrors at the university. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Occasionally, I actually do perform in the university, but not in this particular piece. I was supposed to perform in February in a memory, a monologue, rant, and a prayer, and also kind of help direct, but I ended up having to go to Los Angeles during the performance weekend for a memorial, and I was like, guys, I gotta drop out of the show, so.
Shit.
So it's 2 years in a row now that I haven't done anything, but, last year I was just too busy. I couldn't, and then this year I was like, sure, I can help. We can get, I worked the scripts, got everything together, started working on the publicity, and then I'm like, guess what?
Yeah, if anything, if we don't make more episodes, at least it'll be a demonstration of what I can do to show, people in Hollywood, and that's all I need,
Yeah. Now with your podcast, I mean, obviously you interview a lot of movie people that have been it seems primarily in the horror genre. Mm-hmm. But is there a particular theme for your podcast, or do you just like to do it for the interview aspect? I'm just curious. That's all.
Well, it started out, just horror. And then after I had trouble getting a lot of horror and science fiction people at a certain point on, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to limit myself. I'm going to get other movie people on. I'm going to get comedians. I'm going to get friends from the Bay Area. And there's really no theme other than, it's, I interview the actors or the musicians or comedians or whoever about their careers. And then I have friends on. We just have conversations about life or sex or just anything that interests me, really. And then, I'll bring celebrity people back on that I hit it off with, and we've, developed a relationship on Facebook and stuff. And we'll do an episode like that where we talk about life or sex or whatever, that kind of stuff. So there's really no theme. But go ahead.
No, I was just curious. I mean, I know you've been very good to local female comics. It was very nice when you had put up that post, too. And, all of us small-time people definitely appreciate the support. I've been so busy taking, just took an entrance exam, if I can get my words to come out, to go to graduate school, and I realized that if I'm accepted, it'll start next August, and I'm like, that's going to really make it difficult for me to do my stand-up, but I'm trying to figure it out, and I figure, I've got between now and August to figure out which one's more important, and even if I start graduate school, I might decide it's not for me. I have no idea.
Yeah, speaking of that post, and, I mentioned that, some of the female comics I had on the show turned on me, I had three female comics turn on me that I had on this podcast last summer because of Pete's shit talk and stuff, I was just so stunned, especially by one who I thought was my friend unconditionally, and she literally believes what she heard, and I'm just so hurt by that,
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that too. I mean, even you and I talked about Louis C.K., and it's like, he did something that was wrong, and I mean, I hate to say it, but even when I worked in the music business, there was a lot of stuff. Guys would be harassing me at work all the time, and you just kind of, I'm not saying it was ever right. I mean, one time I was actually grabbed at work, but this was when I was much younger, by a guy at work. I worked at a department store when I was like 17. And I was on my way to HR of all things, and this guy grabbed me and tried to undo the top of my dress. And I just shoved him away, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be going to complain. And just as I'm coming in, because I mean, I'm 20 feet maybe from the HR office, there's another girl there that's complaining that he had kind of done something similar to her, too.
Right.
And they did fire him, But the thing is like, unfortunately, there were things like that were going on. And some of the time, it was a boys' club, and it was the way things were. I'm not saying they were ever right. Now I think people, I didn't even know if anybody ever said anything about Louis C.K. I think he said it himself, is how I heard it. Because he's like, look, I was kind of a jerk when I was younger, too, and I did this. And he apologized for it, and he seems to me to be genuinely remorseful for it. It's like, are you going to hold that against him for the rest of his life? I personally do believe in forgiving people, like I even mentioned earlier about, people that have bullied you.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't mean you have to forget what happened, but it's better for you to not hold on to the resentment,
Yeah. Well,
there's definitely a popular school of thought when it comes to actually mental health in general anyway. They think, to be angry with somebody or resentful of them really does more damage to you than them. So forgiving them is really more for your sake. But forget it, you don't have to forget, at all.
yeah.
And before I heard this theory, I used to say I forgive, but I never forget. So this happened to be a concept, and it just came up again the other day, where somebody was saying how damaging it is to the individual to not forgive.
Yeah.
Whereas the other person that hurt you, they probably don't care, and it's like, and you're sitting here doing damage to yourself by not, thinking about, forgiving them and letting yourself be happier. So.
Yeah. It's just,
anyway,
it's just insane.
I guess I'm getting philosophical on you today. While I'm sitting here, we've got this horrible parrot, that's what I call him. He could be so sweet, but he's sitting here and he keeps plucking himself, so you're hearing him screaming while he's sitting on me and
That's
deciding to pull out a feather that's grown back in. And
that's okay.
We've tried so many things with this bird. We've taken him to the vet. They've run tests. They can't figure out what's wrong. He didn't start doing this till last year. He's 20 years old. And boom, one day he's like, I'm going to start pulling my feathers out. And they're like, give him attention. I'm like, he gets hours of attention. He's allowed to fly around the house, which creates a big mess for me to clean up.
Yeah.
he's always on my shoulder or somewhere. It's like, I don't know. Don't get carrot. That's my advice. They're messy, and
Never.
he's mean to everybody other than my husband and I. We have to put him away because he'll try to bite people. It's like he's just a delight to have.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess I might as well plug this show. So I haven't decided if I'm going to pop into Tommy T's this Tuesday. I just might. But Heather over at Rooster Teeth Feathers was gracious enough to remind me about this year's annual competition, and it's me versus probably about 120 other Bay Area comics. And I'm sure you've been to these shows, but last year I just happened to walk out with the headliner for the night I was on, and he was just like, wow, that's one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I'm like, I go, yeah, you're not showing up at these clubs anymore and seeing, like, two good people and, 16 that are awful. It hasn't been that way pretty much since I joined the scene in 2015. A good friend of mine at work used to do stand-up a long time ago, so he came to check out my show a few months back. I said, yeah, you should come. And I don't think it was another competition. It might have been, but all I remember was him looking at me as we're leaving the venue, and he's like, wow, everybody was good. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, the competition's stiff. I mean, people that win, in my opinion, usually are the best people.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't bombed yet. All my sets have been good to very good. But I do know eventually a friend of mine had said she bombed the other night, and I said, hey, you know what? Just pick yourself up, and they say it's going to happen to everybody.
Yeah.
But, I do like the competition. I'm a little bit competitive, but I also like to check out everybody's stuff. So it's March 20th for me at Roosters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing some of my old stuff that people seem to really like, and I've kind of adapted some newer jokes to fold in with them. I kind of try to keep like a, not so much a general theme, but my subjects, it's like anything else. You want to have a smooth transition, or you want to have something that's related until you go into the next transition.
Mm-hmm.
Building off of some of that. And of course, it's just some everyday stuff some of the time that I find funny, or something funny that I heard that I kind of turn around and make it into something that'll flow with something I've already written,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to that. And I do have my website, which is catcyr.com, C-A-T. And the last name is weird for everybody. They want us to cry, but it's not. It's C-Y-R. And, I put the information up there. And Amira Camel, I don't know if you know her at all.
Who?
I saw her a couple years ago. She's very nice. And she's just been hustling the open mics, and now she's starting to host. So I'm hoping to get...
What's her name?
And her...
Amira Campbell?
Amerra. And then she goes... Camel's not her real last name, but she's Middle Eastern, so she likes to... call herself the hairy, smelly camel, and all these other things, but she's actually very pretty, and she's pretty funny. She's been really blowing up the scene lately.
Oh, that's
doing
good.
A lot of stuff, so I'm hoping to get on some of her shows too. But just because we're friends, she's like, nope, you got to send me a tape and or a video, and I'm like, I appreciate that, because now she's starting to host, so hopefully I'll get into some of those. But
yeah,
I got to hustle like she is doing and try to get some more open mics and stuff. Now that I'm done with my entrance exam of 4 hours last week. Anyway.
Yeah,
but,
I'm so glad I'm not...
we're getting all this rain, but at the same time, I'm so over it. And I'm sorry you didn't get to go to the convention today.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not in the Bay Area no more doing comedy there, because it's so mean-spirited and so fucked up there, and there's just no community, and everyone's just so fucking jealous of everybody, and I mean, I know LA is got to be like that to some extent too, right? But at least, I got connections there now.
Well, I do remember the band scene of the 80s. There was definitely some disrespect going on there, because one of the bands way back when was Warrant, was talking a lot of smack about a couple friends of mine's bands. This was before Janie got involved and whatever, but I was just like...
Yeah.
I definitely didn't like them. They had done some interview, and they're like, we're all good looking, so we're going to make it. And I'm like, oh, that's what you me for music. I'm like, you idiots. But anyway.
Oh, when you say...
So, you know, and they were talking about a friend of mine's band, like, their lead singer isn't good looking. And I'm like, oh, God, you guys are idiots. They did end up making it, but this was not the original guys that were talking now. But apparently how looks are what it takes to make music.
Yeah, when you say that you're going to make it, everyone around you fucking hates you.
Well, I don't know, but I haven't had any of the mean-spiritedness that you've experienced. I don't know if it's more of a women are just friendlier with each other, and guys are more competitive. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Either that or, you know, people are talking behind my back. I mean, at my age,
You shouldn't care.
I don't care, you know, what anybody would say. But, again, I haven't had any negative experiences with anybody. But, you know, I think you're going to run into mean-spirited people here and there in life anyway, you know.
There's no way around it.
Bosses in the past that were just absolute jerks, and you just go to work and go, you know, they've got a problem, and whatever, I'm going to do my job and get my paycheck and go home, you know.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
Yeah, but I don't know, too, though, I've seen a lot of people going out to Sacramento. To me, that's a little bit more, but apparently the Sacramento comedy scene is starting to get built up pretty much, too, so...
That's what
I don't know if that's something you want to explore. Or
I did at first. But I really don't want to. My friend Kristen Frisk, she's out there in Sacramento. She likes it. She says it's a lot more supportive than the Bay Area, but I just don't want to do it at this point. I'm getting older, you know.
Well, one of my good friends who actually does my hand of all people is Pat Griffin. You know Pat, I think.
Yeah, she doesn't like me.
No. Well, Pat doesn't let her age slow her down, though. But she
Yeah.
also doesn't do blue humor. I don't really do it either, so maybe you're just a little bit too edgy on the blue side for her.
Exactly.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Well, she's an older lady. It's like anything else. You have to kind of tailor things sometimes to the person you're interviewing sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, God, whatever happened to, what's her name, who was older? She was doing it, like, right before I left. CC Whittle. I haven't seen her on social media.
Oh, yeah, I don't know her.
Because she was doing the Roosters a lot when I was just leaving. Yeah, she was funny, and she was very open-minded, and she loved my comedy.
Yeah. Well, again, you know, I only started in 2015, and by 2015, I mean toward the end of it.
That's when she was there.
So, go to the memorial. I saw some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while. You know, not these things, you know, bring out all the old friends to say goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a couple of guys that I hadn't seen in a few years, and I said, well, I'm doing stand-up comedy now. And they go, so basically you're doing what you've been doing for like the last 20-some-odd years. So I'm like, okay, fine. You know, I've always been a humorous person, so it was my aunt that lives in Pleasanton that actually knows Pat. She'd introduced me to a friend of hers or something, and she goes, get ready for her stand-up comedy act, because maybe I'd crack a joke, you know. My dad was a very funny person, too, and so I think I got it from him, but I decided to give it a shot, and I do enjoy it, so why not?
Yeah. I want to do this. There's this game that I play with guests a lot now. It's where I ask 4 silly questions. The guest answers them and then asks me the same question back. And I usually end the show with that game, and then there's this joke that I tell too. So first question, Catherine, are you ticklish?
Yes, very.
Okay. You asked me the same question.
Okay, Tom. Oh, I see. So you don't do 4. Okay, so Tommy, are you ticklish?
I am very ticklish. I am baby ticklish. Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
I have to admit, it is an innie. It's my favorite feature about myself. It always has been. It's very tiny, though. So, Tommy, is your belly button an innie or an outie?
It's a very deep innie. Mm-hmm. And it used to be my favorite feature until I had, my accident and I had all these surgeries. And there's a scar over it now. It's not as cute as it used to be, but yeah. Um, what color are your toenails painted?
Actually, right now they are silver. What color are your toenails painted?
No color right now. I'm waiting until spring. And here's my favorite question. If there is one stinky smell that makes you gag, what is it?
Oh gosh, it's probably cleaning up after the dog poop. Okay, Tommy, is there one stinky smell that makes you gag?
In general, there's many, but the worst one I ever smelled was the first 6 months I was out of the hospital. I had really bad athlete's foot.
Yeah, when you're in the hospital, you come out and it's like, you kind of have that weird hospital smell too. Our dog had surgery, he had his ACL done, and all I could think of for the poor guy, and he had to have dental surgery before that. He's a senior we just adopted in December. Our other dog's about the same age. We got him when he was 8, but now he's 11, and this other dog's 11. And poor little guy, when we got him, they said he's got really bad dental disease, and the rescue said they'd pay for it. He lost 12 teeth. I was so mad at the previous owners. And he came home with that weird antiseptic smell. His mouth was bleeding, and he was in so much pain. But he got through it, and it was so funny because once he got through that, he was so happy because he wasn't having dental pain anymore. It must have been really bad because he went from being a happy guy to a super happy guy. So then he tore his ACL, so we had to get that done. But now he's kind of to that point now where it's not the surgery is, his stitches and sutures are out. He's still limping, but he's starting to put weight on it. So he seems to be getting happier now.
Yeah, they just didn't change my socks the last month I was in the hospital, so that's why.
A month? Oh my God. Oh.
They're assholes.
I wonder about these hospitals.
Yeah, they're assholes at San Francisco General in the recovery. They're great in ICU, but when you get to the recovery, they're fucking pricks.
Yeah. Both my parents died via somewhat hospital mistakes, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I got mad at them at John Muir out in Walnut Creek, and my dad had remarried because my mom died young, and the second wife, I told her, do not panic when you see the bill. By the time everything was said and done, I think because I got mad at the doctor because they screwed up, and I had told her, I said, look, he was bleeding to death internally, and they couldn't figure out where, and he'd fallen and hurt his leg really bad. And I said, check his leg. And she goes, well, we're going to check his chest and abdomen. And I'm like, why? And then they ended up delaying everything by doing the other tests, and I'm like, I just blew up at her. She goes, oh, he was bleeding to death in his leg, and I'm like, I was so mad at her, because I was like, I'm not even a doctor, and I knew that. I'm like, you're a moron. So anyway, when the bill came, I actually think she didn't owe anything. I mean, he had good insurance, too, but still, it was just like, I think they were worried we were going to sue them, and we do have friends that are attorneys, and they asked us, I asked my family, what do you want to do? And they said, what are we going to do? And so we let it go. But because he was, older and he was in bad health. And they said, but I honestly think, they do make mistakes. They're people, but still, like you said, in the recovery, they should really, that's very important to you not having to go back into the hospital again.
Yeah. God, it was a clusterfuck that I can't believe I got through. But, God doesn't hand you anything that you can't handle. So.
Yeah, they do say that. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So what's your joke to close the show now?
Okay, so Cinderella is about to go to the ball, and she's on her period. So the fairy godmother gives her these magic tampons and says, okay, you can go to the ball, but you have to be home by midnight or else the tampons will turn into a pumpkin. Cinderella says, okay, fairy godmother, I will. So 2:30 rolls around. The fairy godmother's pacing around the house angry because she hasn't shown up. But then she does show up at 4 a.m. And Cinderella is stumbling drunk. And fairy godmother is like, where were you? You were supposed to be home by midnight. And Cinderella's like, I'm so sorry, fairy godmother. I met this great guy, and we danced all night. His name was Peter Peter.
Oh, yes, pumpkin eater.
Yeah. I love that joke.
I got a little one for you that just popped into my head because they're keeping all this construction
Okay.
at work. So, what tells you you've got a backhoe?
I don't know.
Missionary only. It's a silly one, but yeah. I kept looking at the backhoes, and I'm like, missionary only.
I've heard sillier. I've heard way sillier. Oh my God. I remember this one joke that my cousin's boyfriend used to say. He used to say, want to hear a dirty joke? A pig falls in the mud. Want to hear a dirtier joke? A horse falls in the mud.
Sometimes I actually have 3 other silly jokes that my husband hates, but I could tell him to you if you want.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What kind of steer buys junk bonds?
What?
Gullible. Silly, but I don't know. What kind of fruit has to plan a wedding?
What kind?
Cantaloupe.
Love that.
What kind of antelope does a vegan lion eat?
What?
Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe.
And then there's what kind of fish makes a good drug dealer?
What?
Blowfish.
There's this.
And there's what kind of fish likes oral sex?
What kind?
Vagina fish. Just kidding, blowfish.
Blowfish. Okay, why did I think of that? There was this one joke.
Yeah, I do the cantaloupe one sometimes twice because people think she's not going to say cantaloupe twice. Is she or it's a blowfish one?
There's this one joke. Certain people will cut me off when they hear the setup because they don't want it because it's about pedophiles, right? 2 pedophiles are sitting on a park bench, and this 12-year-old girl walks by, and the first pedophile says, "Hey, will you look at that?" And the second pedophile says, "Yeah, she must have been something in her day."
I know pedophilia in itself is not funny, but I was
No.
actually at a meeting one time, and we've got this whole thing about you can't be on the university unless you pass a background check because we have like this one, his name, by the way, is Roberto Granado. He's a child prodigy guitar player. The guy's amazing. You can see his videos online. I think he was 8 when he played the White House.
Wow.
You know, and he's just this great guitarist, super nice guy, really good looking guy too. I'm like, dude, you're total rock star, movie star material, but he's very modest. Anyway, he graduated from college when he was about 17, I think. And also some of our students have kids, so there's this whole thing about underage and, whatever. So we're in this meeting, right, and we have a lot of guest artists come and perform and do workshops with the students. Like, probably the most famous one was Lenny Pickett from Saturday Night Live. The saxophonist came out and did, like, a saxophone workshop. So all of us have to pass a background check working for the university, right? But a lot of these guest artists, sometimes they're on tour, and they'll make like a special provision to come in and visit our students, and they also don't charge us their full rate to work school. So we're at this meeting, and we got all this Title IX stuff and everything, which I get, and we all have to pass our Title IX sexual harassment, tests every year. So we're in this meeting, and they're like, okay, so what do we do? We understand that, we all have to pass these background checks, and when we do these symposiums, and local high school kids will sometimes come in to perform after doing, like, a workshop with our people. And they're like, so what do we do about the guest artists? And I said, oh, no, they're free to molest as much as they want. The whole room of professors just started busting up when I said that because, we were talking about all the background checks everybody has to do. So obviously, even at work, there's a place for fun jokes about pedophilia.
Of course.
That are, of course, not serious.
Yeah, and at least the second pedophile in this joke had redemption.
She must have been something in her day.
Yeah.
But actually, I had said one other time, too, something about, like, you know, who says you can't make, you know, pedophilia fun for everybody to enjoy or something like that. And obviously, these are just jokes, you know. It's not like, you know, the only thing I will say, too, is when Louis C.K. made his comeback and he had decided to go after those Parkland kids, and I'm like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, there's one thing that you cannot joke about, and that's with parents of murdered children, nor would I ever want to.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, obviously it was in poor taste, but again, it doesn't make him a criminal. It just makes you go, hey, dude, maybe think about that one before you throw that one out there. But
well, the closest I come to making fun of a school shooting, I had this joke in my act where I said, today I taught my nephew the C word, and people are thinking it's cunt, right? But no, it's Columbine.
yeah, well, even South Park, they started doing South Park where every day the kids are there in their school shootings, and they're just doing, like, their normal stuff. And that's a commentary on how bad things are. It's not, I mean, it's kind of funny, too, but obviously it's not saying this is a funny thing in general. It's making fun of the sad state of things, too. So to me, that's not, some people may see that and go, oh my God, that's in poor taste, obviously. It's like anything else. Everybody's got your opinion of what's funny and what's not.
Mm-hmm. So
anyway, I should probably let you go. It's probably your longer podcast.
Oh no, I talked to Stephanie Hodge for 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's my longest podcast.
But it was nice talking to you, and again, great to discuss ideas and everything. And like I said, I have no problem. We can be supportive of each other and trying to take better care of our health, and you know,
absolutely.
we could stick around longer and hopefully, you know, leave legacies behind us of some sort, even if it's just me working with my students and helping them get through life.
Absolutely, Catherine, because you're one of the good ones in the Bay Area, you know, and I don't know a lot of them, but you're one of them.
Well, thank you, but I think there's other good people out here. I really do. I'm just sorry that you had these bad experiences, and who knows?
There's some.
I do believe in redemption for people as well, and hopefully these people that have done wrong by you, maybe one day will wake up to the fact that you're a person too, and you matter.
Well, you, Tina Allen Gallo, and Paul Brumbaugh are like my three biggest cheerleaders in comedy, and I appreciate all three of you so much.
Again, I appreciate you, and thank you for letting me plug my not quite established career on your podcast. I do appreciate it. So
yes,
hopefully people come out, and even more hopefully, I don't care if I win the competition. I like getting the stage time, and I love especially hearing the playback because I learn from it too, but I'm also always surprised at how much people laugh, which of course is a whole, it's a wonderful thing to be able to do that for people. Life's rough enough, and if you can give people a good laugh and let them go home feeling good about themselves, then I think it makes everybody happier and better.
Yes, break a leg, darling. I know you will.
All right, thanks, Tommy. You take good care, okay?
Okay, love. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Well, there you have it. Catherine Cyr. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Catherine. I really do appreciate you, and you are a friend, and I will be very supportive of you because you're very supportive of me, and we will be in touch and talk. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes!